What's up, everybody? It's your boy Dub Q, and I would like to welcome you all to another episode of Between the Lines Podcast. You already know what time it is.
Hey, Q!
Without further ado, you see it, you see the title Players That May Be on the Hot Seat. Look, there's no secrets of what's going on here in Carolina. The Carolina Panthers just have named their new head coach in Frank Rich, formerly of the Indianapolis Colts. He's a very seasoned coach that's been around the rodeo for a while. Back in 1995, he was the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. And so they decided to bring him on home. And with the homecoming coming in, that means there might be some players on the outs looking in. So without further ado, I'm going to break down the roster, and I'm going to just say, hey, there may be some guys at some positions that may be on the way out. Let's start and look no further than quarterback. Coming in at quarterback, last year the Carolina Panthers had a bevy of quarterbacks. We had 4 different quarterbacks: Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, P.J. Walker, and Matt Corral. Well, let's make no mistake about it. Baker Mayfield has already gotten his walking papers, and he's already out of here. So, with that being said, one stone is already turned over, without a doubt. He's already out, so there's no need to worry about that guy. Sam Darnold, the question is, do you bring him back as a veteran, or do you watch him go to somewhere else? Because down the stretch of last year, he was a pretty good veteran. He had a couple of games where he actually looked as a very valuable backup. Then there was the last game of the season where he didn't look so well, but you expect that coming out of him when he went on a 4 or 5 game stretch where he played great football. So with that being said, if I were the Carolina Panthers and Frank Rich, I would not look back to bring Sam Darnold back into the Carolina Panthers, only because, one, you want to move forward with a fresh and clean slate. So you kind of want to wipe some of these quarterbacks that's on here right on off. With that being said, P.J. Walker, I expect to be hearing his release papers as well. So that's Sam Darnold and P.J. Walker at the quarterback position. I expect to get full walking papers. Going forward, I believe that the Carolina Panthers are going to leave Matt Corral on the roster, and that's because we really haven't gotten to see anything from the guy. To tell you the truth, we haven't really get to see what he could be or what he isn't. But I know a new coach coming in is not going to really risk everything on him. So a smart coach coming in is going to draft another quarterback and bring him in and pair him with Matt Corral to see what he has there and create a competition, which I don't think is going to be a competition because whoever he draft is going to possibly be the guy of the future. So why risk having a quarterback controversy over that? But yeah, you get the gist of what I'm saying. You draft a quarterback, bring him on in, and then you move forward. So with that being said, your quarterback position is solidified. You go and you get Matt Corral, and then you go ahead and you draft a guy and bring him on in here and let him be the star of your franchise. Whether that be, I'll make that for another video of who we possibly should take with that selection. But moving on forward, running backs. I don't think that Dante Foreman is going to be here going forward because here in Carolina, he was a real Steve Wilks guy. He was a hard-nosed, push it, put your head down, run through the brick wall type of guy. And I believe that now that Steve Wilks is no longer the head coach or the interim head coach, that Frank Rich is not going to look at Foreman in the same light that Steve Wilks has, because Steve Wilks has admiration for the guy because he was a hard-nosed, hard-fought running back for him. And so therefore, I think that he's going to be on the outs coming in. And I hate to say it, but they may keep Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard will make a great backup running back, but I don't see them keeping Dante Foreman because his price just went up with the type of season that he just had. And is it worth it to lock him up long term with no kind of guarantee that he's going to be a feature back here? I mean, he can run the ball, but has he proven to the point where you can give him the type of money where he can be a starter? He's on a 1-year deal right now, and I just don't believe that we're going to break the bank to bring a guy like that back in. So moving on forward, we go down to the receiving room. I skipped over the fullback because I fully expect them to keep Giovanni Ricci. Um, DJ Moore. DJ Moore is a consistent guy. I don't think he's going anywhere. He's going to be the star of your receiver room no matter where you at. So you want to make sure you keep him happy. Terrence Marshall Jr. has solidified himself as the second receiver. Then you got the rest of the cast of the Temptations. You got Shy, LaVisca, Rashard Higgins, Andre Roberts, Preston, and Derek Wright and CJ Saunders. And out of those guys right there, I hate to say it, but I don't see Shy Smith staying, and I definitely don't see LaVisca staying. Even though they gave up draft compensation to get that guy, I really see that this team probably would keep Andre Roberts, and that's for special teams, and everybody else will probably be fighting for a roster spot. So with that being said, if I was the new coach Frank Rich, I would go hit free agency in the draft and bring in a whole new slate of receivers that could come out here and compete for number 2 and 3 positions at wide receiver. That's what I would do if I was just a betting man. Tight end. This is the position that I think that needs the most help when it comes to this offense. Ian Thomas and Tommy Tremble has been underwhelming to say the least. So therefore, you go out, you find yourself a guy in the draft, whether that would be, I don't know, Dalton Kincaid or one of those guys. I wish it would be Dalton Kincaid. I think that's a guy that we can get in the second round, high second round draft picks. We got 2 of them. So you can spend one on a guy like him, come in, change your tight end room, and really get some guys really moving, because I think Ian Thomas is set to get cut, if you ask me. Tommy Tremble is a young enough guy that you can keep on this roster, and you can really see where he can mature and grow into the tight end position. But I think Ian Thomas has hit basically the pinnacle of what he plans to be, because, I mean, he just looks a big and slow guy is what he looks like to me. Don't look like 21 miles per hour on a radar to me. But that's just me being honest. It's me being real. Stephon Sullivan is another guy that'll be fighting for a roster spot right there at tight end. I don't know if he can cut the mustard. Who knows? Frank Rich is a guy that depends heavily on tight ends too in his offense as well as receivers. So he's going to look to really revamp that room. So I'm under the impression that room is going to change probably the most out of any other position on this offense. And then, as we get to the offensive line, I look for them to fully, like I said, our offensive line has been solidified with Ickey, Brady Christensen, Bozeman, Corbett, Taylor Moton. But we do have some injuries to Corbett and Brady Christensen. So Cade Mays can man one of those spots. And also, I mean, do you give a guy like Tecklenburg his opportunity to come out, or do you find somebody in the draft that could come in and really push because some of those guys are going to be out for a little while. One of those guys, I believe they have ankle. Brady Christian has an ankle, and Corbett has an ACL. So the ACL, I think he's going to be out for a while. You want to have a guy like Cade Mays ready to slide in that position. Bozeman, I think, is good, but Christensen is out with an ankle injury, and he'll be out for training camp. Well, to the start of training camp. So, I mean, I don't see Michael Jordan taking over nothing there. I don't think he has the talent to really make this roster. So he's another one that could be out. Look for him, Cameron Irvin or Deontay Brown, some of the backups to be moved, because you want to solidify this offensive line really and get a lot of good talent up in here. And that's the entire offense. Comment below if you believe that I missed anybody. Just let me know. I'm also going to move on to the defense right now. You guys know how I feel about this defense. To me, this defense is very good. The problem is with this defense for me is I don't see enough pass rush, and that comes from our end spots. Look no further than Brian Burns and Gross Matos. I believe that Yatir Gross Matos has seen his last days in Carolina, because I just simply don't believe in the guy. He had 2.5 sacks on the season. So therefore, going forward, he's not a guy that I look to get much promise out of. This is year 3 going into year 4 for him. So it's just not there. He spent most of the years injury prone. I just don't see it for a guy like that. He hasn't shown me any indication that he's going to be here long term, just by what we're seeing from production wise from him. So I don't see it happening. Marquise Haynes is another guy. I like Marquise Haynes. I hope he gets his opportunities to really come in, because when he had opportunities, he made the most of them this year. I like seeing him on the field. So Marquise Haynes, brother, if you're listening to me right now, keep doing what you're doing. Q supports you. I like what I've seen from him. And now, Ianitis. Ianitis is a guy that came in and gave Derek Brown a little boost in the middle. But I believe that it's time to take off and catch lift off. I think in this draft, we should look to get another D tackle. And with that being said, Ianitis is a guy that you could upgrade from. If you get a young and up-and-coming D tackle, sky's the limit for this defense, man. And you could pair that with Derek Brown and your boy Brian Burns. And I mean, you could have a really revamped starting front four. And then you hit this linebacking core. You must attack linebacker in this draft. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Shaq Thompson, to me, is one of the guys that you could look to possibly, I hate to say get rid of, but him and Damian Wilson together in this linebacking core is just, to me, taking up space. If I were to be real with you guys, that's money and space that we could be restructuring and having somebody else in there. Because Shaq Thompson is, to me, after 9-10 years, is not worth the production that he's putting out there for the money that we're paying him. It's just not there. And Damian Wilson is too busy fighting cases off the field to be on the field. So therefore, you're a one-year acquisition, and I think that was not the best acquisition that you can get from the Jaguars. We caught him in free agency, and I think he'll be hitting the free agency again. Frankie Louvu mans that spot. I would like to see what Brandon Smith can do, because I believe that he's a guy that can come in opposite of Frankie Louvu and start where Shaq Thompson is, if they were to let Shaq Thompson go. This is to be seen. We got a lot of holes at linebacker. I believe they draft a guy, whether that's 202 or a guy like Noah Sewell will be sitting there. Even Jack Campbell from Iowa. Any one of those guys will be sitting there in the draft. You don't go out in free agency and spend big money at linebacker position. You hit the draft, and you draft from homegrown. That way they got time to really get synced into your defense. Also, looking at this cornerback position, that is one of the major pieces where we need the most upgrades at as well on this defense. Because make no mistake about it, you got J.C. Horn and you got Dante Jackson, but those guys stay injured more than they stay anything. So I look for Frank Rich to really make some upgrades at the cornerback position. Being that there's Dante Jackson might be on his way out, because if he's rarely seldom on the field, you're not really missing him. Keith Taylor, C.J. Henderson were both liabilities this season, and I don't believe they'll get long-term contracts. That's just my opinion. C.J. Henderson single-handedly cost us the freaking playoffs. With those 3 touchdowns of Mike Evans, nobody's going to forget that, brother. Keith Taylor, you've been a liability yourself, and it doesn't look like you're trending in an upward position, so therefore, we probably can do without you. Now this is the tricky part, the safety positions. Miles Hartfield always gives us a little bit something to look forward to. Sam Franklin and Justin Burris is also guys that come out there, they fight, they chippy, strong guys. But I hate to say it, Miles Hartfield may be the only one out of those 3 that actually make it on next year's team, because I don't really see them keeping a lot of those guys around if they're not out there putting production on the field. I mean, it's the key word for the day, production. You must have it, because it's going to be your best friend. It's going to keep you employed. So also, as well as our starting safeties, you got Xavier Woods and Jeremy Chin. I'm going to be honest with you. Jeremy Chin has declined to me, and that's because he's injured. But it's looking like he's a liability in coverage. So going forward, we need to figure out something with this guy. And why does it seem to be he is not getting better in coverage, but he's getting worse? Xavier Woods started off as the number 4 safety in the entire league, and then he cooled all the way off. Do I believe they'll bring him back? This is the last year of his contract, so after they fulfill his contract, I believe that they will look to find an upgrade in this next draft to possibly replace him, to pair along with Jeremy Chin for the future. Granted, Jeremy Chin had a down year, but I think they still see him as a centerpiece. Like I said, for me, the centerpieces on this team, especially on this defense, goes as follows: Brian Burns at edge rusher, Derek Brown at D tackle, Frankie Louvel at linebacker, J.C. Horn over at corner, and like I said, Jeremy Chin was untouchable for me, but it's starting to look like he's one of those guys, if we were to lose him, being that he wasn't there for majority of the season, you're not really missing anything. So I hate for that to be a difference maker, but I'm just being honest. Look, this has been your boy Dub Q, and I'm just giving it to you the way I see it. I wanted to get into this thing like how I got into it, and I just thought I would go in depth and just give y'all a little something to look forward to. These are all the players that I believe could be on the hot seat for next year. You saw it. I broke it down. There's no mistakes in this. Let's just be real. If you don't believe in my logic on this one, holla at your boy. Comment down below. I don't mind being corrected if you think I'm wrong. But I think majority of the time and majority of the stuff that I said tonight is validated. So yeah, go ahead and pull up on your boy. I appreciate you guys. Welcome to Between the Lines Podcast. This has been your boy Dub Q.